all product, faced with hard luck. Faced with hard luck. Card shots, thieves, murderers with hard luck. Pimps and card shots, thieves, murderers with hard luck. We all product, faced with hard luck. Faced with hard luck. Card shots, thieves, murderers with hard luck. Pimps and card shots, thieves, murderers with hard luck.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Hard Luck Show. I'm your certified, qualified West Side host, Steve Lucky Luciano. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. You've tuned into the greatest show on earth.
Absolutely.
It's the Hard Luck Show.
Absolutely.
Coming at you from the Virus Bunker in Southern California. Sitting across from me, my co-host and partner,
is Chumahan Bowen, American Indian, Southern Californian, elegant barbarian. And I am here going to do some straight interrogating. Yeah. Come on.
Tribal interrogating.
Yeah. You know how we do it on the tribe when we want to interrogate a motherfucker?
You do it real savagely.
Listen, we wet some leather and we tie it real tight to your head and then sit you in the sun and let it dry. And when the leather shrinks, your skull slowly cracks.
Oh.
And as it's cracking, we say, hey, you want us to take that off? You want to tell us what you know, motherfucker?
You want me to relieve that little tension from your head?
Right, you might want some ibuprofen right about now. Yeah.
And on music, old Blue Eyes.
Sean Lewis, certified audio professional engineer.
Yeah.
For the hard look show.
Hey.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Hey.
Her name was Jim.
What is that?
Spice one when he's some proof.
Yeah. He coming from that North Cali.
Yeah, but he was just telling me he doesn't know if he can move back to the northern just because he loves the beaches down here too much.
Yeah.
He just said that.
If you loved it so much, your ass would be up there.
That's right.
So, yeah, we're inviting on very, very special guests.
Yes.
Very, very talented, very accomplished, creative director, artist, hot rod builder. I mean, this fucking guy. I've known him for about, close to 20 years now. Let's introduce the infamous Mr. Jon Chase to the show, you guys. Woo! Welcome, Jon Chase. The illustrious Jon
You guys
Chase.
are totally turned up till like 11 and a half right now.
Yeah. I'm looking across the table, John, at my partner, who might like an energy drink every now and then. He's got like fucking 5 empty cans of Rockstar next to him. Okay? Yeah. And he's drinking also pre-workout. He's scooping pre-workout in the cup. So this guy is going, and we're all vibrating.
I have a guy I work with does the same thing. He likes to have Monster Energy and then chase it with 5 Hour, and he'll put on top of a Red Bull on top of it. So,
hey, Mark Torres, come on in, man. Hey, Chase, come on in. Come and sit down. This is a listener of ours who's driven all the way from wherever. So go ahead and sit down.
Grab that spot right there.
Hurry up. We're in the middle of it.
Yeah,
stop being humble. We got Chase on here talking to. Okay, cool. We'll get to all that. Just go ahead and have a seat, grab water, whatever. Okay. Bring Chase. Chase, we got one of the listeners drove down from, I don't know, Canada or something. And he just to be able to listen to your amazing stories, your amazing artwork.
You know what's funny is this dude could hang
Wow.
with Jon Chase, bro.
No
He's
shit?
got the Jon Chase beard going on, the glasses and the ball cap.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. This dude. Anyway, so John, welcome, dude. Welcome to the show.
Welcome to the Hard Luck Show.
Hard Luck Show.
Thank you. I'm honored to be on.
Right on. So,
man.
Why don't Steve? Take us to the beginning? How do you know Jon Chase?
Me and Jon Chase were together, and we worked together at a brand called Famous Stars and Straps. This was a brand that we had built with Travis Barker, you know?
Okay.
And this was a brand that was coming out of the Inland Empire area, and kind of where Travis is from, and building this really cool brand that was changing and evolving. And I came aboard, and there was another artist that was kind of creative directing named Max. And shout out to Max, man. He's an amazing artist and helped establish some of the main logos for Famous. And I remember as Max was growing and different things started changing at Famous, kind of by the time I got there, Jon was working kind of like a supporting role creatively and artistically wise.
Yeah.
And kind of moved into the position of creative director for Famous Stars and Straps.
Right.
So, and that kind of set us. And by the time that happened, the brand was moving to a place where we were just jumping huge hurdles. We were just making huge gains on a global level. The brand was on fire.
Dude, that's
and
why everybody had that F on their shirt everywhere.
Now, let me tell you, at the time, now when you're seeing it everywhere, that's probably about 3 years after Jon Chase's work really started laying in. But everything that you're seeing that really hit across the globe was, I have to say, it was Jon Chase's stuff. It was that stuff that we were unloading on the planet, bro. And it was, and I say this, you guys, because once in a great while you'll be part of and I'm going to just speak on an apparel brand.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
Many brands, but I'm talking about apparel. Somebody comes up with the name and the brand and the concept and the idea of it. But it's usually not always that person that's knocking out all the creative that surrounds it. They have a vision. They have maybe an idea. They might not even have a vision. They may just have the concept and the name, the whole thing.
Right.
And once they get with the right guy that can execute that and really creatively build and merchandise and give the brand a destination and meaning and depth, and when you have somebody like that and they can get on the same page, something magical happens.
Right. So...
And that's what Jon Chase and Travis were really doing together. Because you got to remember, Travis came up with this company, but this guy's in the middle of 3 different bands. He's touring all over the world. Right, Jon?
Yeah, dude. He was a busy guy.
Busy guy, right? He doesn't have time to sit there and figure out, hey, how do we do this? Let's make a backpack. Let's do like
Mr. and Mrs. Earbuds, remind them who Travis is for some of the real young folks that might not.
He's a drummer from Blink 182.
Right.
The easiest pretty much way to,
Right.
And Jon Chase really and the brand, you got to remember too, man, the brand came from one area.
Yeah.
And was moving across the board into many areas. But somehow you had to keep or hold on to the integrity of where the brand came from, but yet still move into spaces like hip hop and rap and all these different things. And Jon was really the catalyst in being able to keep the integrity of where the brand came from.
Yeah.
And still give the consumer what they wanted, but also be able to move them into a different arena that worked, which was maybe a very urban, they might have called it at the time. And different, so...
Without diluting or losing.
And Jon was really good at that. And Jon was really good at digging in deep to the roots of Travis's punk roots. Real, and primarily Southern California or California, West Coast fucking punk rock. Really going deep into that. And he was able to, educate. And he set off, and I could just go on and on. So... long story short, what I will say is, so I can put it into terms that people would understand.
Yeah.
Let me put it like this.
Go ahead.
When I got introduced to the brand, the brand was probably doing about $100,000 annually.
Okay.
In belt buckles, hats, and some belts, and a few T-shirts. Okay.
Right. Uh-huh.
By the time I exited the company,
yes, sir,
and I left Jon Chase there, he was doing his thing with everybody.
Amen.
The brand was doing close to $100 million a year.
Yeah, it was wild,
globally.
Wild.
Okay, and so this happened in a 5-year span.
Right.
5 to 6 year span we did this.
Right.
So you listeners, it was incredible. And Jon, you were there, and this just is the beginning stages of a career that keeps on outdoing itself. He keeps on reinventing. He keeps on bringing other things to the forefront. So that's how I know Jon Chase, and I've kept a close eye on him over the years, and we've both operated in some worlds that sometimes meet and cross and sometimes don't.
All right.
And man, we just had a blast, bro. A really, really special time in career, in business, that we got to just build something really special that probably is not going to happen the same way again.
So let me ask this then. Let me ask Jon this. So Jon, John, when did you
help me?
I'm not
Help
John,
me, please.
listen. John, when did you, at what point in the Famous Stars and Straps did you come aboard?
I came on February 5th, 2003.
Bam.
It was my first actual art job. Before that, I was actually a outside salesman for an industrial rubber company in Corona called ASJ. So I sold concrete and water hose, and I was doing art on the side. So when Max
Wait a
Max
second.
and I
Wait a
dude,
second.
like,
Wait a second. This is starting to sound like a Cinderella story now.
It is.
Dude,
Is
it's,
it?
it's wild, Holmes. It's wild.
How do you go from selling industrialized rubber with a little bit of art on the side to basically getting in at the ground level with Famous Stars and Straps, which is going to become so successful? How does that happen?
It was weird because so I was working at the industrial rubber company. I've known Max since the mid '90s because I used to do a comic book with my buddy Brian Viveros, who's a super huge accomplished painter and artist, and I've known him since we were like in junior high school. So I met Max 96, 97, and I kind of kept up with them because they were doing art, and then a bunch of the dudes out here in Riverside. So that's like Max Gramajo, Jeff Soto, Stephen Daly, this dude Tech. All these guys were writing and doing graph, and they started getting into the business on the apparel industry. So I was kind of keeping tabs. I'm like, oh, that looks like fun. I want to try and get into it. So I would go work like 55 hours a week at my day job, and then I go hang out with Max until 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and like I would just watch what he's doing and see how I could apply myself to get into that industry. So after I gave myself 1 calendar year, if I do not get into this industry, into the apparel world, I will just be content with sitting here in a cubicle selling water hose and concrete hose.
Right. Okay.
And
So,
okay, so then what happened?
well, so I approached Max. I'm like, hey, I'm really interested in this. He's like, cool. He's like, I think you have it. He believed in me more than I did. That's the thing about Max. Always said, like, hey, you know what? He saw the potential I could do. So I just stayed home, and at like on weekends, Friday and Saturday nights, I'd watch videos online about how to use the computer because everything was done digitally.
Damn.
So I learned how to use Photoshop on the online by watching videos.
Right.
So then 6 months go by. I finally get an opportunity to get a job. I meet Travis. I get hired. I give the company I worked for 8.5 years. I gave him a 2-minute notice. I'm leaving right now.
I love that.
And I bounced, and it was crazy because the owner, Alan, was like one of the greatest people. He taught me a lot in that world of business and negotiation, which was great. And he totally said, like, you know what, that's what you want to do. I can tell it's what you want to do. Gave him a blessing. I split. I went to go work at Famous, which was not even that far from where I was living in an apartment in Corona. And I went there. I didn't sign any paperwork. I didn't get onboarded. No one said hi to me. I just sat down at Travis's desk, and then I realized, Maxwell, oh, you can't use Photoshop to do these. You have to learn Illustrator. So I had to teach myself Illustrator that week, how to start doing designs.
Okay,
And then
let me just put, you covered a lot of great ground, and first of all, we've got actually like a first time Mark Torres, a listener.
Yo, what up?
All right, say hello to the great Chase. I don't know if he can,
Nah,
if you're
man, I'm not
worthy
that
to
great.
talk to him, Mark Torres.
Probably not. I'm just glad to be here, man.
All right, you seem to be nodding as you were listening. Do you have anything to add, Mr. Torres, to
Yeah,
what Chase
dog.
is saying?
That's
dog?
a lot of hustle and motivation right there. Yeah.
All right. Excellent. All right. Thank you. All right. So Chase, okay, wait a second. Like you kind of glossed over I would think it's kind of a big deal, which is, first of all, why did you only give yourself a year to break into the apparel company? Like why did you say just a year? Did you have pressure? Were you married? Were your parents on your back? Like what was that?
Nah, I was, at this time I was 29. So I was kind of late.
Right.
But I wasn't married. I wasn't even dating who's now my wife, Katrina. I wasn't even dating her yet.
Hurricane Katrina.
So it was like I was just giving myself a realistic goal. If I can't get it in this time, then I need to either reevaluate or just that's not it. Because at the time, not a lot of people were doing art. There's only a few people. Like Risky was doing it because he did Third Rail.
Right.
Slick was out there doing stuff. Let's see, Tribal, Bobby.
Cartoon.
Like people were doing it. Joker, like
Right.
Little Lucky, like all those dudes were doing stuff. But it's like it was kind of not. You weren't just doing it. Not everyone was doing it. It was before social media was really a thing. I mean, there was MySpace. People were doing art, but people weren't like getting put on like that.
Right. And then you're sitting there, you're watching YouTube videos of fucking Adobe Photoshop, and then from that in an apartment, you said you were in Corona, right?
Yeah.
All right. So Corona's not exactly the most illustrious place in Southern California. And then all of a sudden,
Easy there.
Hey,
I'm guys in Corona and Fontana.
Listen,
Hey man,
it's a place
I live in
of
Norco.
love.
I still live out here.
Okay, I live in Norco.
Listen, I understand that there's a lot of loyalty and love for Corona, but I'm just saying it's not necessarily in
Not Beverly Hills.
Right. Okay. It's not Santa Monica. All right. Thank you very much. All right.
But I will tell you something. The whole style and that lifestyle and that look was born from out here, and the whole world.
Is that
adopted
true?
it.
Yes.
Yes.
1,000%.
That's a Corona look.
Oh, bro.
That's an IE look all
it's an
day.
IE look.
I
That
love
is
it.
it.
All right.
That look took over shit.
And it did. It absolutely did. And so therefore, on that basis there alone, I stand corrected. But hey, listen,
Yeah, it's fine.
Hey,
true,
listen,
bro.
let's stop fucking around because the real story here. Let's stop. Is that he went from learning Adobe to all of a sudden working for Travis of Blink 182. Did that blow your mind at all? Like, were you tripping? What was that like?
Let me be honest with you. I didn't even listen to the music. I didn't know any of their songs. I wanted to get a ground level into an art career, possibly. I didn't even know if I was going to be there 2 minutes, 2 weeks, 2 months.
Awesome.
I didn't even sign paperwork for 2 weeks. That's when I met Nicole, who was running the operation in her office. I walked in there one day, 2 weeks later, go, hey, is there anything I can sign to say I'm getting paid? Like, what am I getting paid? There wasn't a negotiation about my
It was
pay.
still up in there whether you were going to get paid, right?
Yeah, dude, I was employee number 8 at the company.
So there was
almost everybody was in the warehouse.
So there was never any moment where you're like, holy shit, I'm meeting a famous drummer of a famous rock band and I'm going to be working with him at all. You were just like, oh, yeah, that's Travis, I guess. I don't know who that is. That was how it was?
Put it this way. Once I got the offer for the job, I did some research online. Go, oh, okay, cool. I had heard some of the songs.
Right.
And that's what I realized something that, okay, there's a whole other world out there I haven't been paying attention to because I was honestly just driving like my Nova around and just selling concrete hose and just kind of doing whatever and doing art for fun. So
Right. All right.
So I mean, it was different. And then, but yeah, once I realized, I'm like, yeah, it wasn't until I went to like Denny's with him one time and the waitress paid for his breakfast. I'm like, wait, what? Really? This guy's a millionaire. Like, what are you doing?
Right.
But it's a different life. So yeah, that was the beginning of it. So I taught myself Illustrator in the course of a week and a half, and that's pretty much what I use 99% of the time.
You know what? You want to know something?
Yeah.
Okay. Because it's weird, John, because when I came aboard, it absolutely was that look. I wouldn't use Travis's name to break these brands in.
What would you do?
I just brought in the brand. There was a look to the brand that was so different.
Right.
And it was hitting on some trends, which were trucker hats, because Von Dutch was starting to really appeal to
Oh, my
truckers.
God, I remember
and there
Von
was
Dutch.
these belt buckles that he did. And these belt buckles and the trucker hat, both were pieces that fit into a look that was beginning to trend.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And that's how I was able to walk the shit into Fred Siegel.
And people
and the reason when I tell you I didn't use Travis Barker's name.
Yeah.
You have to think back. This isn't the same Travis that you think of when you think of Travis Barker now.
Right.
This is Travis unattached to Chicano lifestyle. Like, he's looking. He likes that stuff, but he's the drummer from Blink 182.
Right. He's not.
And if
known
I
for
walk
that.
in there and say that, they're not going to take the line. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, he's not known for that. He's known for being the drummer.
Right. And this is why I'm bringing this up, is that Travis himself was a well-rounded dude. He traveled the world, bro, multiple times. And he had an appreciation for art and culture, and he wanted to share some of that with the famous customer. But in order to do that, he would have had to have gotten a creative artist that was able to help him to do that. And I'm talking about, like, he's introducing Andy Warhol and Marilyn Monroe and art like this. Keith Haring, like this style of art, he's starting to introduce to a famous customer.
Right.
But a famous customer doesn't really understand that. Do you get what I'm saying?
Well, wait. What
he's
is
like way advanced on them.
What is a famous customer at that time, would you say?
At that time, like a famous customer is like kind of like this like fucking crazy dirt bike rider, fucking crazy colored mohawk, fucking kind of into like teeny bopper punk rock, you know, like that. I don't know, John. I could be completely wrong.
No, John, you lay it out there.
That's-
What's the famous customer at that time? That sounds about right. But what else would you add to that?
I mean, you could go specifically. It's that 10 to like 25-year-old male generally. Females were on board. They came along later on in line, but it was that young dude who wanted to who had loved music, was into like car lifestyle a little bit, but had it had its own vibe and its own swag to it. Like it that whole style was like attitude. And like it was the craziest time when I met some dudes from Germany who looked just like dude. They had tattoos like him. They wore like clothes just like him. Like they wanted to just belong to it, like to that
tribe.
You call it yeah. You call it tribe. They wanted to feel that vibe because everyone at that time was moving to it. So out here it was just normal clothing. Like people wearing black socks pulled all the way up, Dickies, like was Osiris's DC shoes.
That
whatever.
was normal out there.
Yeah. Right.
That's how everybody dressed.
Right. And
So it was just taking that style that's already here, that's established out here, and just and showing the rest of the world what was out there. And like, oh, it just caught on because it was teetering already. Hip hop, metal, car lifestyle, SoCal. It was all those things rolled up into a ball that was like a perfect mix, a perfect combination at that time for it, and everyone was just into it. I can tell you right now, there was a point in the company where we could do anything. Selvage denim. We did a radio. We did a ghetto blaster with Lasonic. I called them because I was in charge of buying dude's ghetto blaster collection. Like he's like, yo, here's your budget. It was a lot of money. Go buy me all the best radios in the world. So I spent a couple weeks. I was able to collect him his best collection of radios. And I called Lasonic because they're in industry. Go, hey, I need some parts. Chinese company. My buddy Albert was working there. He was born in Hong Kong. He gets on the phone. 20 minutes later, we did a collab with Lasonic. We were making ghetto blasters. Like anything we could do, we could make. We could think of. We could make at the time. It was insane,
bro. Man, dude,
Sorry to
I'm
tangent.
telling you, he was like this dude. There's sometimes you get into this place where you can take like this, like if the lifestyle's being bought into, like say Ralph Lauren,
right,
Polo,
right.
You slap the little horse on anything.
Right.
They're buying it.
Right.
Because they're upset, right?
Cupcakes, fucking
anything.
Right.
Okay. That's where famous was like that, dude. You could put that F badge.
Right.
But it's still, to get there, that doesn't just happen. You have to do a lot of dope shit to get to that place.
Okay, wait.
You don't just get that handed to you.
No, it was a lot of work.
A lot of work, dude. And it's like, dude, these dudes were fucking mimicking old punk rock albums and making shirts out of them. And then rappers were wearing that shit in fucking Harlem.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, how do you do that?
Well, my question to that is exactly what you're saying is, what's the commonality there? How is it that Corona or that vibe or whatever that was that you guys kind of figured out in Famous Stars and shit, that how did that be common to hip hop, common to metal, common to skater, common to how did that happen?
There's one common thread, and it was Travis. He was a celebrity at the time. That was his style. Kids were trying to figure out how to wear that style, like how to cut his shirts like him. We started selling the shirt cut like that because kids couldn't figure out how to take a pair of scissors. So you give them, you feed the monster. That's it.
Why did Travis?
Like
why did he have that global appeal to all those different? Because those genres that we're talking about, that you guys are throwing around here, like those are genres that integrity is a heavy premium. The minute they smell a sellout, it's over, right? So how come Travis?
Here's the thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
He was already playing. He played in punk bands. He played in a pop punk band. He loved hip hop. He would do collabs and do edits and mixes with hip bars. Like I had to sit down with Little John to talk about. He wanted to make his own brand at one point. Like he just wanted to make punk rock white kid stuff. Like that's his appeal was just because he was on and people wanted to like be a part of it and look like him and meet him. So it was a perfect storm. He was doing like, let's see, Run DMC and Aerosmith did the crossover in the 80s, right? Then Judgment Night comes out in the 90s, and that's a bunch of rap and metal mixing together. So it was evolving to that point where people were totally accepting. Like, it's not how it used to be when we were growing up. Like, I don't know how old you guys are, but I'm in 40s now, and like, you only know one kind of music. That's it. You skated? That's what you did. You didn't do other things. Now kids are so used to hybrid and like having a different lifestyle of music and cultures they embrace and things they like, and they don't have to be set in a box. And like Famous and Travis was like the beginning of like, it's okay to like all these different things.
Absolutely, bro. Because if you were a punk rocker, you were a punk rocker.
Right.
And if you were in rap, you were rap.
Right.
So you couldn't let your punk rock friends see you listening to rap and right? So you have to live this. But Travis just came out and like crossed over into that. I mean, like when you really look at like a Lil Wayne, and his whole coming in and who he was, he's like a black Travis. Mm-hmm. The way he got down, and they got down together on shit, you know. But it's like you had Lil Wayne made it okay to step into like skinny jeans and Vans. Right. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I did.
Travis was the guy who had stepped over and made it okay to like listen to EPMD, or he'd reference this or that. You know, it's like, so, you know, Travis is he's a well-rounded guy. Okay.
Interesting.
And he got to, he also wasn't afraid to try shit. That dude was not afraid to try some shit, man.
Right.
We had a lot of shit that didn't work.
Yeah, it was
a lot
pretty
of shit
wild.
did. I mean, you know what? As we were sitting here and I was thinking, Jon Chase, I'm thinking about how you remember when we made the canvases with Marilyn?
I remember that. I remember how that even.
I don't know either, but I remember we made a couple. We made a couple, and then it was like, bam, we need fucking like 50 for stores.
Wait. So what happened?
That was big.
What happened?
Wait. So I'll tell you the story about how it happened.
Yeah.
So I think it was my first year in. It was like June. I remember it because these are moments as an artist or a creator. These are moments that are highlights in your career, and this is one of them. Like this is the design really broke me at that point. Like this, like a milestone for me. So we were working on some stuff tonight, and then I know Travis was doing a lot of it. So I was kind of working this Maryland piece thing on the side. Like, you know what? I'm going to try it. I printed it out. I put it in the folder. We were at Denny's because we used to meet at Denny's when Travis was still living in Corona, and we were both out here still, Max and I. So we were having breakfast with him. We were going, and he just wasn't really feeling anything. He loved the Maryland stuff so much. Like, we got to go now. So we put it in, and at this time, like, all right, cool. If you really think about it, if you show the design to anyone, they'll recognize right away who that is.
Hold on a second, John. Hold on a second, John. Hold on a second. For some reason, we got you coming through the computer, but I don't know. Are you using wireless headphones to talk? Or are you on the phone?
No.
Oh, why, Sean, sound engineer, Sean, what's going on?
It's connection issues.
Meaning what?
Wi-Fi or whatever. I mean, it's like a lag in the product.
Okay. All right. So, okay, you guys are at Denny's. You've got the Marilyn Monroe. You got the Maryland stuff in a.
Okay.
Yeah. Say it again.
Let me move a little bit.
Because this story is great.
See if I can get a bit.
Hey, what is Travis and you like? What is your Denny's go-to meal? Are you a moons over my hammy guy?
Nah, dude. I don't eat animal.
I don't either. I'm
so
vegan.
I would just have like toast. Yeah, I would eat toast.
And what's Travis? Is
Oatmeal.
Travis doing like a grand slam, or what's his deal?
Nah, I think at that time he was also not eating animal products. We were all kind of like not doing that at the time.
So you guys would go to Denny's and just eat toast?
Toast and oatmeal and mashed potatoes.
Yeah, oatmeal, dude. That's how it was.
Yep.
That's hilarious. Mark Torres, listener extraordinaire.
What's up?
What do you eat at Denny's?
Oh, French toast.
French
Yeah.
toast.
That's my go-to.
All right, Sean, what do you eat at Denny's?
Dude, I just get the scrambled eggs with the toast and the hash browns.
Okay, and Steve?
I haven't been to Denny's since I've been vegan.
Well, wait a second. We went to Denny's with Angeline, but we
That's
didn't
true.
eat anything. But when you weren't vegan, okay, I wasn't
the
vegan.
4 times 4 times 2 times 2 times shit with all the fucking ham, sausage, and I want all the and a stack of fucking pancakes.
Before I was vegan, I did eat moons over my hammy, and I would get a side of chicken strips. All right, thank you. Okay,
Side of chicken strip?
yeah, I don't know what it is, but I love chicken strips. Except
At any time of the day.
Now I don't like the fact because it's cruel to the chickens, and you see what they go through. It breaks your heart. But I'm just saying. But when you're talking the flavor and all that other crispy fucking chicken strips, any time of the day, I could wake up
gravy
out of
on
a
'em.
dead sleep and just eat some fucking chicken strips, no problem. All right, so
All right.
John,
Sean,
wait.
is that better?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you sound
That's great.
fantastic. Okay,
Okay,
so
good.
John, you had this idea for a design. You're at Denny's. Take us through it now, sir.
So, design comes through. He's like, "Oh, I really like this. We need to go in production with it." So, if you see this design right now, you could tell right away that this is a super recognizable person.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but at the time, we were still kind of flying under the radar. So it was like not that big of a deal. So we went into production on it. We went to ASR, the show, and I remember we did the entire booth.
Yeah.
Was done with that stencil, and the booth was
Yes.
small. It was like a 10 by 20.
Yeah,
and
it
I
was.
actually have a picture of you.
Yeah,
Lucky.
standing in front
I gotta
of it.
find. Yeah, I have a picture of you standing in front of it.
Yep, I have
And
that
it was
picture
like-
too.
Man, so it's like it's funny, but like so that was a big design for me personally because it really kind of cracked open. Like we're taking a movie star, one of the biggest stars of all time from decades previous, that most kids would not even care about.
Exactly.
But now they're like, oh, we even called it the Maryland. But
Right.
Lucky, do you remember what happened at Magic?
Yeah, they
Like the
fucking-
following year?
Yeah, they want it like that. We're getting cease and desist. They want us to take it down, all that shit, bro.
Right, because you guys
Yeah.
didn't have a license
Nothing.
to use it, right?
We didn't have anything.
No, of course not.
Yeah, but
course
that
not.
only adds to the brand, right? In the sense of like, you guys are just doing whatever the fuck you want to do, breaking some rules.
At that point, we
Oh
were.
yeah,
Yeah.
for sure,
Right.
for sure.
Right.
So man, that was a heavy one because I remember the lady was like, "You don't have a license." She looked it up in her hotel room the next day, came and talked to me about it. I'm like, "Oh,
Oh, yeah.
all right." It was okay, cool.
And we were selling
that
so
was-
much of this shit, bro.
That's so funny.
Under
And
the
it was
radar.
so then, John, at what point do you guys figure out like that's what the F in Famous Stars and Straps is going to look like? How many Fs did you draw?
Okay, here's the deal. That was actually done by my buddy Ed Santos, rest in peace.
Rest in
he
peace.
was actually he worked at Wahoo's for a long time as the marketing guy. Rocked the mullet. He had a super long mullet. He was in the OC and he worked for Wahoo's for a long time. He actually did the original design, and if you look at it, it's based off the Rough Rider R.
I can see that.
Yep.
Oh,
Yep.
shit.
Mark Torres, listener extraordinaire from where are you from, brother?
I'm from Santa Paula, California.
Santa Paula. He drove all the way down. Santa Paula. He says that he concurs with you, John.
I remember seeing that F everywhere. I've even slapped it on a couple like road signs and shit over
That's
like
right.
the street signs and shit like that.
Yeah, I see that.
Mark Torres representing.
Yep.
All right. So okay. So that's that. It was already in play then.
That's where.
Yeah,
that
because I
effort
came
was.
on. Let's see. It started in 1999. I got on in 2003.
All right.
So yeah, so it was already been going because Travis originally had his store or shop in Riverside, and he only sold the belts and the buckles.
Right.
That's what it was.
I
in the
remember
beginning,
one
and then he
time I
moved to
went down
Corona.
to a pop up. You guys had a pop up down in like.
Hey, hold on
LA
a second.
somewhere.
Mark Torres. He looks a little like Fidel Castro. Get on the front of the mic there, brother. Okay. Tell us your story.
I went to a pop up down in like LA somewhere, and you guys were like selling denim. You had like a bike out there with the F right there. You guys were like just a pop up, just a random pop up.
That was the Fast Life, wasn't it?
Maybe that wasn't on 3rd Street in West Hollywood.
Shit, I was young, so I don't know where I was at. I just
Okay.
I was
Smoking
taking it
weed,
all.
smoking weed, Mark
of
Torres.
course, of
A
But
little
course.
that's
high.
probably Fast Life store. We had a store down there.
Yeah, I just remember walking through. It was like in the outside, a bunch of racks, denim everywhere.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Interesting. So okay. So that's all going on now. Steve, when are you jumping on board? At what point are you there? Like what yearish?
2002.
Okay. So, John, with your artist's eye, your discerning artist eye. Tell us a little bit about what Steve Lucky Luciano was like back then. What did he bring?
Oh man, I remember hearing the stories of Lucky before I even met the dude. Because you gotta figure, Lucky's a big dude,
right?
And he walks in, he makes a presence. He's very well known. Like, I'm here, and just notice me. That's like, you can't not notice him,
right?
That's just how it, And
right.
so I remember hearing like Travis tell me like, "Oh, you're gonna meet Lucky. You haven't met Lucky yet? Oh man, he is crazy." That's all he said. He's crazy. That's it. And then, like one of those things. He's that dude. When you see him, like you see him on the block, you would think, "Oh, this guy is serious. I don't want to fuck with this dude." And then he still has that kind of thing. But once you get to know him, like he's just like everybody else, man. Just trying to like get through life, navigate, and make things happen.
So basically, listen, I don't want to put words in, but it sounds like John was a little intimidated, Steve, when you first stepped in the spot, man.
I don't know about all that.
But Steve, what do you feel? What do you feel? Listen, he's like, I don't know. He looked like a serious dude.
No, I know. There's some of that. And I know Travis gassed me up and all that. And Lil Max was like, every time I'd open up his door, he'd be like, "What do you want, Lucky? What do you want? I'll stop everything I'm doing." It was funny, bro. It's like I got so much love for Max, and I had a lot of respect for everybody in there. And you know what? It was like, I tell you one thing, man. Like at the size of the company, when John was there in the beginning, nobody was apprehensive about putting some fucking boxes in their car and delivering them, packing some boxes, packing orders, doing it like
everybody was helping out.
Didn't matter,
right?
And if you did have a problem, you wouldn't be working there,
right?
We cleaned the bathrooms. We take turns scrubbing the floor and the toilets. Like that's how small it was. We could all fit in a van back then.
After Steve cleaned the bathroom when he scrubbed the toilet or whatever, were you impressed? Because you're like, wow, Steve, how did you know how to clean the bathroom so great? Steve's like, it's been a few years away. I learned how to take care of shit.
We were all in it there, handling that shit, handling it together, and it's just a very special time.
Steve,
bro.
Seriously, let's be real. So you're coming on board, and you is it hard for you? I'm being serious. Is it hard for you to have a reputation for being a tough guy? Let's not fuck around, right? Mark Torres is still shaking. He's sitting right next to you.
Fucking scared shitless.
His beard's in the
Crazy,
witness protection program right now because he's so scared of you.
Go on.
But seriously, so you have a reputation of being a tough guy, and then also you're also a businessman. Mm-hmm. So is it difficult for you to balance that out? Does it help you actually, like in a sense, like when you step in? How does that work?
I listen. In every situation is different, but I think that in this situation with Famous, you had a guy who owned the brand,
right?
That was very into a culture that I was a part of,
right?
Okay, so he's rah this whole culture,
right?
So he's telling his people, he's into Esteban's photography,
right?
He's into cartoon sets. Like these are guys he wants to be seated with and wants to fuck with, right?
Right.
And they know that, like, I operate in that world.
You're from that world.
This is what we've been doing,
right?
These guys all knew that I'd been in apparel,
right? That
my running partners with the stuff. So I came in with an amount of somewhat clout. So it wasn't just tough guy shit. It was also that was like, this dude's been in apparel, like he's built brands. And so I think it evened it out. It wasn't all like this tough guy. Like we could sit down and work shit out, bro. We were merchant.
But Lucky, look at this though. Mm-hmm. You were an asset to the brand because when you show up, like this is the sales manager. Like you're the dude. Like you're the guy. You were a perfect example of what mirrored the brand.
Absolutely, yeah. Showing up at meetings in tank tops and shit, just not giving a fuck,
And Cortezes,
like
most people don't show up like that. They show up like with their little jeans and their whatever shoes and like maybe tucked in even maybe. I don't know. It's more action sport, but they were super timid. And they weren't trying to like make a statement or a presence when they were pitching product.
Yeah,
you were.
Yeah,
John. Now that we have you here. And we've fought long and hard because we know you're a busy man and an illustrious, world-renowned artist and everything. And we're lucky to have you here. But now that we have you here, was there any kind of situation where, like, did you ever get the sense that because Steve was part of the brand and he was helping, like, negotiate and secure the orders, did you get a sense that people were happy to pay and were never late with the payment because Steve was involved? Did you ever get a sense of that?
I would assume that Lucky would have no problem getting his accounts to be paying.
Right. Like, I could imagine that, you know, some people, they'd be like, yeah, we'll pay it, but put them on my tab. Tell them put them on my tab. But then when Steve's like, hey, we need you to pay this order, you ordered this stuff. The guy's like, right away. Who should I?
A fucking big one, kid.
Who do I write the check out to? What name? Yeah. I love that.
Yeah, we were such a family, bro, back then. It really was, bro. And we'd have so much fun. We go to
it was a wild
magic. We'd all be together and be fucking nailing up booths and screwing in shit. And I'm talking about the beginning parts, bro.
Hey, was Lenny and Larry's Cookies your assistant at that time?
He became a couple years around 2004.
Yeah.
Is when he kind of became my assistant.
Did John ever meet Tony Crouch?
Did you ever meet that dude Tony Crouch that used to drive my truck and drive me around?
Yeah, I remember him.
Yeah, you remember him? Yeah, because we told the story and we had him on, but it was like my license got suspended for like a year.
I listened to that episode.
Right, there you go. Yeah. It was
that was the best. He was like, and then he told me, he said, don't show up late, bring a pen in and paper.
And let me tell you something too. And we talked about this, John. And John is like, listen, when you get to build something, when you build things from the ground up,
yeah,
and you see people's lives change due to, the fame of the brand, the money, the clout. Like you start to see people, especially the first layer of people that were with the brand. Everybody's life is changing a little bit,
right?
Yeah. And there's a time, and you slowly start to like lose the essence of how it was.
Right.
Slowly, piece by piece, it starts to. So, and you don't know this while it's really happening.
Right.
You're just having to accept new things going on.
Right.
But
kind of like the second half of Goodfellas.
Yeah, brother. And
yeah,
it began. Yeah, not really. But,
I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, here I'll put it this way: when we were on Wild Turkey.
Mm-hmm.
And we were before that, we're in the original Corona spot.
Okay.
I'll give you a little bit of how crazy it was. I wouldn't say crazy. How relaxed it was a place to work.
Okay.
People were like getting so loaded, they were just falling asleep on boxes. Dudes were getting blowjobs in front of the building in a car with all the dudes watching. Like, it was not a normal place to work. And it was really interesting because Max is pretty much not about
any of that
life.
Yeah.
Any of that stuff happening. I was like, all right, cool, man. That's what they're doing. That's fine. They're like, no one's getting hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And then some of these dads are getting, a little extra fun during the day.
Right.
But as the brand progressed, and the money started really coming in, you could, like you said, the shift happened. But you see it, and you know it's happening. What really did it, what made it flip overnight, 100%, this is the story overnight. When the first show on MTV hit, we instantly doubled revenue the next day.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. It really brought it into another stratosphere. And this is early reality TV.
Yeah. What year are we thinking? Like, what is that?
2006.
Yeah.
Man, back when TV was still TV.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was a wild time.
Meet the Barkers?
Yep.
Right. Yeah, it really did.
Flipped it on.
And it also brought over sharks. Started smelling, their opportunities, and things began to change. And listen, man, what makes a brand, a garage brand that turns into a $10 million brand is not the same pieces that takes it to a 50 or 80 or $1 million and distributed internationally.
Right.
A lot of shit has to happen. Right. And people that need to know what they're doing. That's like, and those things, started to change stuff. And, but, it does what it does. And, it was a great experience because I was certainly there through the ground floor type beginning to extreme success.
Right.
And got to see that happen. And, I remember going in, John as the creative guy, and at one point in time, John's laying out the whole look of the brand for the next 2 seasons.
Okay.
And it's
a full year out.
Yeah, full year out. And Travis would be in fucking, Europe on a tour.
Right.
With Boxcar Racer,
Uh-huh.
And so it was like John having to make and pull and green light shit. And I remember as we're going kind of into urban, remember, John, how we'd have different stuff going into urban accounts than what was going into like PacSun accounts, and
Yeah, it was all about balancing act. We had
Right.
that. We had the Fast Life was going at this time. We had FSAS, which is another line of higher end product. The Perception. It was basically, I mean, honestly, it was the same stuff basically, but we just charged 2, 3, 4, 10 times more than what it was originally going for because the people were paying that and we were feeding a beast. Like there was people who wanted to pay $100 for a t-shirt. We had people who want to pay $19 for a t-shirt. We had kids that wanted a bigger fit. We wanted there was different demos to cover and we were covering them all at that point. And that's when things start to get really, it's just a balancing act. You're literally spinning plates just to keep everything going because it was so wide and it was so much stuff to be in charge. Like, dude, when I left, there was 100 people there. When I started, I was employee number 8.
Right.
Like the last meeting I was in, there was like so many people there and there's salespeople. And like, who's this guy?
Right.
I even asked dude, I'm like, what do you think will happen? Do you think the company will get so big you don't know everyone's name?
Right.
And I didn't know everyone's name.
Right.
And I was there. So it was crazy. But yeah.
That's what happened to us today. Some guy walked in. It was Mark Torres, and we were like, "Who the hell's this guy?"
I'm like, what
the
happened?
fuck
He's
is
a new
this?
intern.
Right.
I didn't even know we hired him.
Steve was like, "Jesus Christ, I think we're getting
He's
robbed."
about to beat
What
me
the-
up,
Who the fuck
man.
is that? Hey,
Hold on a minute. I didn't think we were getting robbed.
You
Maybe
did?
you thought that.
Yeah.
I didn't think I was getting
Oh,
robbed.
right. Well, it's Steve.
Fucking when you get robbed, that looks all different than that.
What does it look like?
It don't look like that.
You know,
Before you know what's happening, your ass is getting robbed. That's how
right?
you get
That
robbed.
you don't see it coming.
No.
All right. I stand corrected again. Thank you very much.
No.
No. But so okay. So John, then if Travis is busy and Travis is being Travis, which is sort of, I guess, being the brand, right? And doing all the things that are going to set how do you become the guy that knows how to translate that and curate that into actual items that are going to be sold in different stores? How does that work? What do people need to understand about that?
So I had to live 2 lives. I had to live my personal life, and I had to live basically Travis. So everything he listened to, read, watched, anything that he had input on through eyes, ears, whatever, I had to know it. I had to know exactly what his playlist was. So he referred to a song, I'd have to know him just saying, "Oh, it's a Slim Thug joint." I'd have to know it's this one. This is the one he's talking about. I'd have to know this is what he's looking at. So like we would go to the Warhol Museum. I would take pictures of everything. I'd have books. Like he referenced, like, that one piece. I'd have to know, like, oh, I saw him look at it for more than 3 seconds. That's the one he's talking about. So I had to basically absorb everything he had and then keep it in my brain. And this is when I started to have a bunch of like issues with myself because I was basically 24/7 living that life.
Wow.
It was wild. So I knew exactly what he wanted to do. Like, we should do a music-inspired capsule or collection. So we did Van Halen, Metallica, and some other stuff. And, like, I did the Van Halen piece. So it's 1984. I redid it with Devil Lock. So it's like Misfits mixed. Max did the Master of Puppets.
Yep, Master of Puppets, one of the best-selling shirts.
Yeah,
So-
we go out. The Van Halen stripe badge was sold, dude, 100,000 units back then at one store. Just at PacSun.
One T-shirt. 100,000 of one fucking T-shirt graphic.
In like 1 month. It was, dude, the time back then was so different than now. Like, I am not joking. We could make anything except when the lawyers started showing up.
Yeah.
And then we had to start pulling things back.
Puss. All right. So wait a second though, John. This is fascinating to me. So you're living 2 lives. So how confusing is it for you when you're just sort of absorbing the essence that's Travis on kind of like a 24/7? Did that cause you any identity issues, or were you like, just really honestly, what don't people understand about what that job really is?
Well, when you're that capacity, and this is where I was so, I've been such a brand loyal. Like, I'm down. I work. This is it. I'm a living, breathing part of it. You can't really fake that. You need to be a part of it. Like, to this day, I work for a brand, and I'm living that brand. Literally. So back then, I would be like Travis. I would get a phone call from Little Chris, which was rest in peace also. He went to, he was Travis's assistant. He would call me like, hey, there's plane tickets for you tonight. You're flying Kentucky. Meet us on the bus.
Right.
I would just go. I don't know when I'm coming home. I would get on a plane in 3 hours. I'd land, and then I would be on a tour bus working. I can't sleep on a bus when it's running, so I'd sleep 2 hours a day. And I would just be like listening to Travis. He would just tell me, I like this. I saw this. This is cool. What do you think about that? And I'd put it all together, and I would just have this long-running document and also inside my brain of everything he liked. And the problem with that is I would be gone so long, and then at this point, I'm with my now wife, Katrina. We were living together. She's a nurse. She was working nights. I didn't see her from like Christmas to February. Like if I didn't get home to see her before she left for night shift, I would just stay at work and work until 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and then go home from the office, sleep, get back up, go back every day if I didn't see her. And I'd do that 6 days a week, 7 days a week sometimes.
Right.
So it just got to be a point where I got so like you're just burned out, dude, another level. Like, and you really don't know who you are. Like, I don't know. I don't have an original thought now because I feel like this is who I am now.
What does that do to an artist? Because you're an artist in your own right. I mean, that's what enables you. That's what enables you to actually translate or take in what Travis is talking about and put it in a much larger context, right? So, what does that do to an artist to devote yourself like that so much to somebody else's vision?
Well, so I'm gonna go. This is a really dark place for me.
Do it.
Me and my wife don't even really. We talked about it like maybe once or twice since this happened. I got so lost. I thought like everything I did artistically was a famous piece, no matter what it did. I got so depressed. I sat on my bed. I had a 357. I was about to end it because there was no end in sight. I was told we need to make more money. We need to do all these more projects. I didn't set boundaries because we were still like, we were just all a bunch of guys hanging out, having fun and making money.
Right.
And it got to the point where we're so big. And it was just, dude, we said yes to everything. I did a So Def collab with Jermaine Dupri. I had it done. He showed up on his private jet in Ontario. I think 2 days later he had it. We were making the product. Like, we were doing everything so fast, and we were always moving and running, and like I just couldn't handle it. Like, that's when I had to leave. I saw a picture of my wife on my nightstand, and I go, all right, I'm not gonna do this right now, because I just felt like I was so consumed with it, and it was so frustrating because there's not enough hours in the day. I mean, I worked all day, all night for years, and that's when that was it. And that was the downside of it. Like, I did not set boundaries, and then I don't know. I mean, that sucks. That's what happened.
Was it difficult to set boundaries partially because you guys did all start off as kind of like a small family unit, and there's two things going on. One is there's like a friendship sort of involved in it, and then the flip side also is maybe you feel like you should be grateful because there's some amazing things happening, and the moment you say no, it's going to all shut down, and this might have been your only chance, and you're saying no to people who also were your friends. You started out with these friendship relationships.
Well, that is the dynamic that we're talking about right now. Yeah, we all started like a bunch of buddies, and it was small, and it got bigger. But when it's happening, you don't think like, how am I going to be able to deal with this mentally later on?
Right.
And this is the thing that people don't want to talk about, and I'm not really particularly stoked to talk about it, but it happened. And like, yeah, you're right. Like, you don't want to say no to people, but I had to. I go like, dude, this is over. I got sat down by one of the CEOs. He straight up told me, like, you need to go to 125 next year. I'm like, dude, we said yes to everything. I don't see how it's possible. Like, that should be your deal. He's like, nah, it's your deal. I was like, damn, dude. And this is 2008 now.
Right.
This is right when things are about to fall apart for almost everybody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So...
yeah.
Sean, do you identify with that? Do you have trouble setting boundaries, Sean?
Oh, for sure.
And why do you have trouble setting?
I think that sometimes you get involved. You're like, you're giving me a great opportunity, and you feel like you almost owe the company, or you owe your manager, or you owe whoever's like above you for giving you that chance. So it's like, I think you find it hard to say no.
Right. So go ahead.
You know what? I'm going to say something to that. And Jon Chase, this is just my opinion.
Go ahead.
When you know how you just said I live and breathe the brand.
Yeah.
You hear that, Chase? You heard when you said that, John, right?
Yeah.
I think you either are designed that way or you're not. Like, I don't know how to do it without being completely invested. I really can tell you guys all about boundaries, but in reality, I can't get passionate unless it becomes everything for me. You know what I'm saying? So I get involved, and it was like that at Famous for most of the time. It was like that at the Hundreds. It was definitely like that, even though I knew what Young and Reckless was. Still it was like I was invested. And I want to say is that it sounds good, but I don't know myself if I know how to not be completely in it and make it a part of my life. Maybe that's just me. I don't know how to draw boundaries. So if that brand takes off and it's super crazy, my life's going to be super crazy because fully invested in the thing. I don't really know how to, go ahead.
Well, it shows authenticity when everyone breathes it, because like you said earlier, like people will see it's not authentic. But at the same time, you have to be on the lookout for yourself, just so you don't get over-consumed by things. Because as we all know, Lucky, these aren't Levi's. These aren't brands that are going to be on for 100, 200 years.
Right.
So it's like Felix. Remember Felix?
Yeah.
Arguelles? Yeah. I remember he told me one time, and this is how brand I am. He's like, oh, man, you run these to the rails. Like, you run the train until the wheels start to fall off, and you jump the next train. And I looked at him like, nah, man, that can't be that way. Yeah. But it's true. Like, he's been in the skate game for so long, and he knows how it is. Like, companies come and go, trends come and go. And now with how the way our culture is, trends come extremely fast. It used to take 10 years for a trend to come back, cycle back. It's up to like 6 months. It never really goes away.
Right. Dude, I talk about that every day. But you're absolutely right. And I think that I've heard interviews with brand guys, super successful brand builders. Yeah. And they're like, what's the whole trick? And the whole thing is like, knowing when to get off and hop on the next one.
Well, you know what?
Like, part of the whole get down is knowing when to make your move.
Okay, so I'm listening to what you guys are saying, and I understand it up to a point. And I also, it doesn't have to be a brand. It's whatever you're into that you lose yourself to, right? Mark Torres, real quick, what do you lose yourself to?
Probably my lady over there.
Is that true, lady over there? Is he losing himself in you? And she kind of shrugged.
She's like,
I can't please her.
That's the right answer right there.
No, this is right. He knows he's got to drive with her all the way back to Santa Monica.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so, but I just read this book called Why We Sleep. Why We Sleep. And it's by like a Harvard trained, and then I think he's either at Stanford or University. No, he's at UC Berkeley now. A sleep researcher. And he's gone through the whole thing. He measures your alpha and beta waves, all this bullshit. And he goes through and he explains this whole thing. But the key takeaway from this book, right, Why We Sleep, is that part of the proper, not proper, but optimal, fuck proper, optimal, right? Like, if you're a bodybuilder and you're like, I want to get the most out of my workout, right? That's what he's doing for brains, for sleep, and that's what sleep's for, right? And he is firmly all about, you are not going to get the best creative output. You are not going to work through trauma. You are not going to do any of those things if you don't get that 8 hours. If you don't get that 8 hours, because what he says your brain's doing during that time is cycling through memories, impressions, in order to get you fresh to hit the next day. And what he said is he's done all these executives, right? And we're talking like CEOs who put in 16 hours a day and all that shit, right? And they're like, running Goldman Sachs and all that stuff. He says that they're actually less productive because they're not getting enough sleep. Yeah, they're working 18 hours, but that 18 hours of what they're actually doing in terms of...
It's not focused.
Yeah, it's not effective. So they brag, and they're like, I haven't slept since 1922, and I'm not planning to until I can sleep when I die. Right? And I've even said that shit. But the point of the matter is he's saying, like, actually, if you look at their focused work product, it's about the same as somebody who was working 8 hours a day and getting good sleep. If you could get more out of 2 hours of that guy, that woman, from a healthy brain with a focused work product than you can for 18 hours of shitty, angry,
Alcohol
stressed
and
out.
Coke every
Right.
fucking night. Yeah.
That's what that is. So when I'm listening to us talk about like, hey, I'm all about this or I'm only doing that, I'm also thinking to myself, yeah, that's true, but what about having an effective like 3-hour punch on what it is that you care about and then letting it go and marinate for a while so that you can come back the next day and give another perfect Bruce Lee Maybe he's not even a good example since he died, but I'm just saying a focus punch. What are your thoughts on that, John?
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because when I was working at ASJ, I had to plan out my entire day for calls on customers. So I took that from then. I still have that to this day. So right now, if you open up my calendar today, I block out every 15 minutes. If I have a task, it's blocked out. So I do my creative work, studio time, admin. I only check. This is like typical stuff. Like you'd probably be familiar with this. I only check my emails at noon and 4. I only go social media certain days. I don't get stuck in it. I cannot. I need to focus. My time is so valuable now, and I only have. If I feel really inspired, I don't. It used to be like, oh, I'm just gonna draw something or paint something because I feel like it. Now I have to go like, okay, for these next 2 hours, I'm drawing or I'm ideating something very heavy. That's it. So it's on my calendar up to a week, sometimes further out. So I schedule my entire life by a calendar. I control my time and what I'm doing every day. So the only time it happens where I get a wrench thrown at me is someone calls me because they know I'm not going to look at my email till later in the day. Otherwise, I'm just cruising. I go, this is what I'm doing when I'm waking up. I'm taking a break. I'm doing this. I move to this task. I do my emails. I have my meetings. And then I finish my day out. I plan the next day or whatever needs to happen. And whatever didn't get done, I also use Evernote to keep all my tasks organized. So that's why I'm one of those few artists and creatives that's super organized. I got that from my dad, and I definitely got the art side from my mom. So I took both of those. So I'm kind of like one of those very rare, organized, hyper-organized artists.
So
that's how I do it.
What does your mom do that's artistic?
She paints, she sculpts, she crochets, she can draw, pretty much anything. She plays ukulele, like she does everything.
Really good with her hands.
Yeah, she rips on anything. Like I used to sit in her lap when I was a little kid, like 2-3 years old, and watch her paint. So like that's how I got that from her. And then my dad's super into like he's a hot rodder. He loves planning stuff. He's like very methodical in how he does things and researches stuff. So I got that from him. So I just mashed this all together into my workflow. And it's weird because when I was working at Famous and I was heading up a whole department of different personalities, I had to realize this is the hardest thing for me because I got told by management, upper management, you can't be freaking out in front of them because I would completely lose it. I would smash phones on my desk. I would smash phones. So I had to realize not everyone works the way I do. So I had to like take that step back and we had therapy sessions basically every Monday because the personalities were colliding. So I had to really move into that role. Like I'm not a trained artist. I'm not a trained manager. I had to learn all this stuff on the road. My path was not that. I mean, I took night school to understand how to use the computer, but I never learned the business side of it. I learned how all the apparel stuff I learned on the job and dealing with personalities on the job. So like you're Dr. Phil, you're like answering stuff, you're doing pitches to people, you're talking to big corporations about doing product together. Like all that stuff I had to learn on my own, and it's not a traditional way, I guess, but that's the only way I know. It's just by doing it.
I love that. You know what's fascinating about what you said is because, I mean, you smash phones and then manager's like, hey, you gotta at least look like you're enjoying yourself and keeping it together in front of the underling. They can't, you can't be. But yeah. Dude, how many fucking times do we read in the different papers or whatever, all of these high level executives at fashion magazines or at the studio who would do all this crazy behavior in front of everybody? That's almost assumed like that's what
pull their pants down and start jacking.
Right, like Harvey Weinstein, right? Like
pushing people down on the beds.
Right,
and shit,
put him. He was like
pushing everybody.
Right,
down.
like that's all you hear about. You kind of wish that management would have pulled one of those guys aside and said, "Hey, Jerry Falwell Jr., you can't be, putting butter at the tip of your... Yeah, like, what are you doing, brother? Like, you can't be doing that shit. Mark Torres, do you ever, Mark Torres, the infamous listener, do you ever smash your cell phone in front of your coworkers?
Actually, yeah, something happened to me just recently. I had to sit down with HR and fucking
What happened?
manager and shit like that. Pretty much, I was told that I need to work on myself, you know?
What?
Control my anger, but I don't know. It's kind of like I've thought like everybody gets a pass, and I need to like be held accountable for all of my actions. You know what I mean?
Wait, what kind of... Now, this is all allegedly. I'm your attorney right now, so
All
I'm
right.
going to say this is... Right now, what we're speaking is allegedly. This cannot be used against you. But what allegedly, like, what is the anger thing that they're like, hey, you need to control... Do you swear really loud, or what do you do?
I guess like I let my emotions get the best of me. So like my physical like.
And what was the situation where?
I took my daughter to a doctor's appointment, and they were like tripping on me, saying like, "Oh, yeah, you can't go."
And so then what did you do? Did you like puff up and be like, what do you mean? Or did you just walk out?
Nah, well, I had already went to the doctors, did my thing, you know what I mean? And I came back to work the next day, and they tried to trip on me. But, yeah.
That's fucked up. I mean, the guy takes his daughter. I mean,
Did you tell him you were going to take...
Of course.
You know what?
Then
You know what that
that's
reminds me of? That reminds me of Eric Thomas, the hip hop preacher who's a motivational speaker. He said he started going into business for himself because he wanted to show up for his daughter's day at school. She was winning an award. And he told his work, he's like, hey, and he thought he was being cool because he's letting him know ahead of time, right?
Right.
And he's like, hey, I'm going to take this time off because my daughter's getting an award and she wants to see her dad there. And his boss was like, no, that's work hours. You can't go. And he was like, okay, you can say that, but I'm fucking going. Was that how it was for you, Mark Torres?
Yeah, pretty much. And then, yeah, they made it about me, and I told them that dude was like, "Are you gonna hit me right now?" Like, because I was like, I was like, dude, I'm taking care of my family. This is my, you know what I mean? This is what I got to do. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I guess like the state I was in, my body language or whatever, he was like, "Do you want to hit me?" I felt like he was like antagonist, like leaving an opening to try and like set me up. You know what I mean? And
Legalese now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Entrapment. Your Honor, listen, this is how I would defend you, Mark. I'd be like, Your Honor, Mr. Torres is not only a contributing member of society, right, and a loving, devoted father to his daughter. Right? Shh, don't, Mr. Torres. I'm trying to defend you in court. Shut the fuck up. Right? Stay silent.
Yes,
Let
sir.
me
Yes,
do
sir.
the talking. You just stroke your beard like a serial
Got
killer.
you.
All right,
Got
thank
you.
very much. All right. Yeah, Your Honor, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. Right? What I'm going to tell you is a story about family love, about paternal fatherly love, about the protection and the love and the heart of a father. Right? Mr. Torres, who's taking his daughter, his sweet, vulnerable daughter.
4-month-old.
4-month-old daughter, right? First and foremost, we live in a society right now where that alone, it shouldn't be, but that's a special thing right now. Just the fact that this father takes such an interest in his infant daughter, takes her to the doctor. Where do you work? Don't say it. Never mind. And this warehouse manager, right, who's only in charge of a bunch of brown cardboard boxes, and his only concern is the bottom line financials, is giving Mr. Torres a hard time for being a loving, doting, caring father. And what does he do? Does he thank him? Does he thank Mr. Torres for contributing to society by letting his daughter know that she's loved? No, he tries to antagonize. He tries to antagonize Mr. Torres, inviting him into some kind of abusive, some kind of violent, sick, disgusting, twisted. Your Honor, this should not stand. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, right now you can do something to help this country by supporting a father who loves his daughter.
Ovando Bone.
LLP.
Yeah. No, if you want defense like that, you call up Chumahan. Now,
Listen, go ahead. Sorry.
I don't know, pull everybody back to speed.
Please.
Jon Chase, you
Yep.
roll out from Famous. That was some time ago. Tell us what's been going on. What's transpired? Where has this led you? What are you doing today? Give us a rundown.
Yeah.
Oh, man. So, ended up leaving Famous. We just went freelancing. I got so burned out. I kind of just needed some time away, so I gave my resignation. I went ahead and just stayed home. I just literally pulled a Howard Hughes. I didn't get up for like I didn't get out of bed for like 3 months.
Pissing in jars.
Yeah,
and
did you
bottles
piss in
and
a bottle like Howard Hughes?
I don't remember.
That's a
Probably. I
yes.
don't know.
By the way, that's a yes.
like mayonnaise jars, salad dressing jars, squirt bottles, all in the windowsill, all lined up. Got all the colors.
all like under his bed or whatever. Right?
Did you do one of those, bro?
So like I did that, and then I just had an identity crisis, really, dude. Like I didn't know. I really felt like everything I'd done artistically and it just was not even mine. I felt like what I'd done was for the company. So it took me months to get out of that. Like I was doing freelance jobs, and people were like, I want that Famous look, and I just couldn't do it. I would literally turn into something that was total shit.
Right.
So to work through it, I started this project. It was just a fun project. It was basically a blog at the time. This is 2008, so it was called Destroyer. And then I started doing designs for it as design therapy, really.
Man,
and
that Destroyer art was dope. Bro, you even sent me a package with a couple shirts and a hat. I love that shit, bro.
That was a wild thing. Thank you. That was crazy because I did it just for myself. It was 100% myself. It was cars, music, Dungeons and Dragons, whatever, video games, whatever I wanted it to be about, I did it. And then that actually became something. So I did that it's just a fun project. A couple years go by, my wife and I get married, we have our first kid. Then I want to go look into employment because maybe I'll go back in. So I become a product designer for Meso International. So I was designing die-cast and RC cars. And I was doing that while I was doing Destroyer. So I worked at Meso for 4 years. And then as Destroyer was going, it started to take off in Southeast Asia. So I was sending pallets of product to Malaysia. And so movie stars and the royal family was wearing it. It was on television. It was on MTV. So I was like, man. So I started making money on that. So I decided to leave the diecast company and go out and go full bore. Like, I'm doing this. And then while this is happening, Destroyer had become really popular in grassroots drifting out here in Southern California. So if you guys are familiar with drifting,
what's drifting?
Drifting is an automotive sport, we'll call it. It's imagine doing
sideways,
skateboarding, BMX.
Oh, Tokyo Drift.
Yeah. So
I got you.
It's a lot of people make fun of it, calling it ballet with cars because it's but it's more than that. There's a whole lifestyle around it. So my brand got really embraced by that, and to the point where I was doing collabs with Formula Drift, which is the premier drifting series in the United States. So I was doing collabs with that while still working at the diecast company. Things popped off. I left. I went full time doing Destroyer. So I was the art guy. I was the brand guy. I was a team manager. I was customer service. Luckily, I got someone to do shipping for me. So I was running all these hats. I had my daughter was born. So I was working from 5 a.m. to 1 a.m. every day. We go on vacations. I would get up at 4:30, do emails and stuff, do designs, send them off, get production going, and then just have family time for a couple hours and go back to work. It got to be too much. And while this is all happening, I'm doing shows, so events around car stuff. So I go to Auto Enthusiast Day at Anaheim Stadium. It's a really big event. It's open to the public. It's free. They'll have the parking lot will be packed with people, and I'm over there with 2 cars and booth, and I'm painting. I'm airbrushing a picture of Keith Richards, and then the co-owner of Hoonigan Industries, which is also owned by Ken Block from DC Shoes. The other owner is Brian Scotto. He pops in on me because we do the same events. He just puts his feelers out to see, hey, what's going on? Keeping tabs on me. I'm making noise in this space now. I'm single-handedly I have my own drift team. I have videos up. It's pretty crazy. So I'm doing all this stuff and I'm making noise with it. He checks up on me, and then one day he's like, "Oh, hey, if you ever get tired of doing your own thing, I have a spot for over here with us." So at this time, Hoonigans around a couple years, and then I go, I don't know, I'll think about it. A couple months go by. I'm completely burned out now by staying up all night and balancing all this. I should have been really smart about it, honestly, and I should have just hired or outsourced a bunch of these things and kept my brain way more chill. Because I was losing my mind spinning all those plates too. Because I was so into it. It's just me. So I reach out, I get an offer, I interview, and I'm working at Hoonigan. I'm one of the Hoonigans. So Hoonigan Industries is an automotive lifestyle brand based out of Long Beach. And we do the Gymkhana videos, and it's it's pretty crazy as a brand because it's basically known for like we do dumb things in cars like burnouts.
Right.
Cars catch on fire. It's not a big deal. We crash into stuff.
Right.
So that's kind of where we're at right now. And so
Hey.
my love of cars gets to be played out really well now. It's like encouraged. The more cars you have, it's called Carcane. And it's the problem we all have there. And I've got 5 cars. Some of the other guys have like 14 cars. So it's a lifestyle around automobiles.
So the Hoonigan car brand, right? It's what would you describe that? It looks like it's like hot rod-ish, but it's been tweaked somehow. How would you describe that? Like, what would you describe?
So it's automotive lifestyle in SoCal. So Southern California loves everything about cars. So Japanese cars, which people will know as tuners, hot rods, muscle cars, late model muscle, oddball cars, anything with
Lowriders,
swaps.
this, that,
Yeah,
whatever.
lowriders. Like we film original content. I had Estevan come out and bring Dr. Green Thumb, and I shot an episode with him at our spot in Long Beach. So like I bring in hot rods and different cars from different scenes to help cultivate this audience that goes, hey, it's not my thing, but you know what? I appreciate it because the quality of the build or the passion around it.
Right.
So Hoonigans are passionate about automotive. So racing, just lifestyle, and all that stuff. And it also comes into the product and our video content that we produce. And we have 3.5 million subs on our main channel.
Dude, these cars are fucking sick. I'm like looking at all of the cars that you've got lined up there, and some of them they've got like they've definitely, to me, and I'm who am I? I'm just a fucking attorney, but I'm just looking at this and I'm like, this looks like, there's a hot rod, but it's also been lowered, and then there's all kinds of customizations, and maybe, correct me if I'm wrong because you're the king of this shit, but like it's also kind of like a little bit of a Mad Max feel to it as well. Does that make sense?
Yeah, right now, automotive, the crazier the build, it seems to be the better for a lot of people. It just goes through waves like everything else is a trend.
Right.
But that's a trend for a lot of people. And I've been really fortunate because I'm the brand director, art director, a YouTube host. I do live stream stuff with the crew when I can.
Right.
So kind of running a bunch of stuff. I'm an amateur race car driver because I raced against, I called out Mike Finnegan from Motor Trend Hot Rod magazine for a race. I ended up losing live on television at Pomona at NHRA. My car was not ready. It fell apart. The front end almost flew off the car at 100 miles an hour. I bet beards, so I had to shave off my beard. My beard's super long at this point. It's really back to how it is now. So on Fox Live, I'm getting shaved. Goldberg, the wrestler, is holding my arms behind me, and I'm getting my beard shaved. So that was one of the highlights / low points because my car did not work. I lost.
Right.
And then earlier this year, I got to race my 55 gasser Tri-5 by Fire against Ryan Anderson in his Monster Jam truck, son of a gravedigger. It's Ryan. It's Gravedigger's son. So I'm drag racing him side by side on a drag strip.
Yeah, that's what.
See, that's not talking about. That's why I got you on the show, John.
Dude,
Because you can
it's not a
fucking
normal
go from
day.
here to there. It's like this motherfucker, bro. He's got his hands. He's so good, bro.
Yeah, but
He's so good.
The thing I'm really taking away from this is that John's doing all that. If you were just showed up because of the spectacle of the race and his car and all that other stuff, you might not know that this guy's whole day has been dialed in and that it's been through trial and error, right? That he's gotten to where he's gotten to, a lot of hard work. A lot of people think I'll just show
It's
up.
that same thing like Esteban Oriol.
Right. It's exactly right. And what is Esteban Oriol's thing? He's saying what? He says you got to fucking work.
Yeah.
You got to put in the
absolutely.
time.
And it didn't just, Jon Chase didn't just pop up with all this shit.
Right.
And
Right.
that's what people sometimes see.
Right.
And they don't know the backstory. Right, Jon Chase? They just see
Well,
the-
yeah. People don't know unless they go deeper, like these kind of doing podcasts or if I do a live stream or if I go live on IG and take questions, people will learn more about it. But from the outside, people are just oh, these guys are a bunch of shitheads and they're just doing crazy stuff.
Right.
And that's how you want people to perceive you. You don't want people to think, a lot of people don't want to think too deeply about these things. They find it as entertainment or something to occupy their time. And then when they get deeper into something, that's when they become hardcore fans of your brand.
Right.
And they want to get invested in all the people around it.
Right.
And which is now really interesting because as you see, as apparel brands, they don't just have one face anymore. they'll have a whole crew of people so people can find who they identify with and align with, and that becomes their person to go to, and they get invested in that group or that person. So when things pop up, like right now, I'm really fortunate. My car, my gasser, my 55, it was released in July at all Walmarts as a Hot Wheel. I'm honored to have my car as a Hot Wheel because as a car guy, this is it. Like, this car is now, like, this car is legit for a lot of people. And granted, it still hasn't hit my magic number of going really, really fast, but it's getting there. I'm working on it all the time.
Right.
But it's still an honor to have that happen. And then people are out getting it, buying it. They're posting videos of it. Them getting it. It's really hard to
collecting
find.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, they're collecting it and they're flipping it, which is really kind of crazy. Because if you guys are familiar with diecast, the flip on it, like, it's a $5 car. People are selling it for $40, $50, $60 for one car right now.
That's a real compliment.
It's insane.
Right.
It is, and I'm really honored by it, and it's humbling to think that. And, like, that's just crazy to show. Like, just think 18 years ago, I was sitting in a cubicle selling water hose and concrete hose to some guy, and now I literally get paid to go drive a car that's really not that safe as fast as I can.
Right.
And it's just mind-blowing.
And the line to get there is not a straight line. And this is what people have an idea of how shit's going to go down or how it's supposed to go down, and it's like that line. But
like as if Chase had a picture of the cars that he's eventually going to make, right? When he's in that cubicle and he's planned this perfect career.
Exactly.
And it's not.
It's never. You know, you've seen that little drawing where it's like, it has the line of, like, how you get to here from here. And then there's other ones that scribble in a million different directions.
It looks like a madman fucking scrawled it.
And that's how it does happen, bro. And I think that I'm not going to speak for everybody else.
Please do.
Okay, I will speak for everybody else. All right. I think it's where, as things start to take a left turn or a right turn or go backwards or upside down or whatever, people get disillusioned that they're not going to get to their destination.
Right. That's exactly right.
And they give up on it.
That's exactly right.
They get scared. Fear kicks in.
Right.
And I certainly have, Jon Chase. We know about my history. And some things start to get, I'm throwing in the towel and I'm fucking kneeling my neck and I'm fucking, all sorts of shit.
Yeah.
But if I would have just stayed put, the next move, what next move, but it's like a lot of people give up, and I think that as you stay in this, you build a life.
Right.
This whole process with if you were to look at our since we started this podcast,
for sure,
we were in one office. Then that guy got burned out. Then we go over to the yoga studio. That's not going to work. Then we're over here. Yeah. Then we're in the youth center. Then we're over here. Then we got COVID and it's like, if you were just look at this podcast the last 14, 16 months, plenty of people would have been like, fuck this shit, dude. You know what I'm saying? It's not. COVID. And look at what COVID. And look what you learn. You start to build. And that's what I'm hearing time and time again. And Chase, that's what I'm hearing.
Right.
And you didn't do it all correctly, Chase, because that's not how shit works, bro. It's not. None of this is correct. It's, how are you going to react to it? How are you going to react? Are you going to keep on going? Are you going to keep on fighting?
Right.
And it's like, you sat on the edge of your bed with a fucking gun in your mouth.
Right.
I mean, we don't have a lot of guests talk about that,
Right. But we have had a ton of guests who've been in serious situations, Gentleman Jack, all that stuff, who've had to come to that point through some serious whatever circumstances that they're facing. They might not have had that, but they have, right? And they've made the same decision, which is like, I'm going to keep going, whatever it looks like. It doesn't matter if it's ugly right now, I'm going to keep fucking going.
Yeah. Yeah, and John, you are, I mean, dude, and what I do know, I don't know a lot, but what I do know at my age, and what I've seen, I'm a little older than you, John, a little older than everybody in this room.
Just a couple months though.
A couple months.
I mean, come on.
And this is to say that on the trajectory that you're moving on, John, you've accomplished so much. Bro, you are going to continue to do so much, bro.
Right.
Your shit is going to get.
Right.
I just can't wait to see. I'm excited to be your friend. I'm excited to be a part of watching you grow and learn and try new things. And I just, at the end of the day, I love your artwork, John.
Right.
I love what you put out, bro. I really do.
Thank you.
It may not be, some things are my things and some things are not my things, but I want to make them my things because you did them so good. Like,
Oh,
I
it's cool, 'cause,
love
like-
SoCal hot rod shit. I love that, bro. I grew up on that. And you just bring so much of that back for me. It's dope, bro. It's Jon Chase.
man, like-
tell
Jon
us
Chase.
where do we find you on Instagram, and
How do we pay you? How do people throw their money at you?
your company?
Like, yeah,
Give
come
us
on.
those plugs real quick.
Well, to find me first, it's jchase7452 at Instagram. And if you want to just slide DMs, you can just send me money. That's fine.
There you go.
There you go.
Do you
Excellent.
have a fans only?
Do you have a fans only?
OnlyFans.
Yeah, we have Cutie Sterling's got a fans only. Are you topless in a fans only,
Oh
John?
my god, dude! I saw you guys just had her on.
Yeah.
I remember all the photos of her from Joker days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude,
She's got. Is there any chance that we can hire you to recreate the gay sand dunes video where the guy does the Vogue down the sand dunes? Is that on fans only? We want to collab with you on that, right?
oh man.
Any other plugs you got? Any other plugs you got for your business at all, John?
No, I mean, if you want to follow the Hoonigans, it's at the Hoonigans or Hoonigan.com to watch what we get into.
Right.
I like that.
We just get into a whole bunch of mess of stuff.
Nice.
And I don't know, man. You know what? Let me hang on a second. I got to look at something real quick.
Yeah, look
Yes.
at it.
Yeah, look at it.
Did it sound like to you, Steve, that John was listening to the show, like that he heard that the Tony Crouch show?
Yeah. I mean,
That's an old one.
that's
Yeah,
an old
that's
one.
an old one.
But John told me he listened to the show.
Does he?
When we were talking, ever before the show, he goes like, "I listened to the show."
Right. Does he have like a particular episode or like a particular? John, do you got like a fan favorite on the Hard Luck show? Like, was there ever a moment where you're like, that was fucking hilarious when?
They're all pretty wild. The one that always sticks out to me, though, honestly, is
Yeah.
OG Lepke when he's talking about like just being. I don't know. You guys just kept finding him passed out everywhere. Like,
Yeah, I remember that.
I mean,
one.
I remember going down to a cartoon spot in Skid Row and just being so blown away by just hanging out there.
Yeah.
And just seeing how this is a business that's making a lot of serious money. You walk out the door and it's literally the non-have-nots right outside the door.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So like that whole life, like that whole time of my life was like, I look at it and go, man, it was weird because at that time I got kind of caught up. Like all of us, like Lucky said, all of us were making money, like large amounts of money, and I did not appreciate that at the time and what was happening. I wasn't really taking the time to really focus on like, this is some great stuff happening. I just kept going.
Of course.
And it wasn't until later on in my life now, after like, seriously, I had to start meditating and stuff to really realize like what life is about.
Join the
Because
team,
my-
bro.
Yeah.
And that's,
Yeah.
there's that saying, what does they say? Youth is wasted on the young. Or
Yeah,
what is it?
youth is wasted on the young.
It just,
Yep.
it's just the process of life, bro. And now we hear what our parents and older people taught us, how quick it goes, and be there present for it, because, and this is how you learn. But it makes you appreciate today, right now, more.
100%.
And being present, and seeing the specialness in it. Jon Chase, man, thank you, brother. Thank you for coming on.
He said he was going to look
You're
at
looking
something?
up something? You got something else to plug?
Nah,
Oh, okay.
my
no.
daughter's cat jumped on the hood of my 67 Nova and like scratched it. And I was just like, I'm just kind of heartbroken.
Oh. Okay, so everybody
I-
out there, listeners, pray for the hood of his car.
Right.
Nah.
No?
Gets
Okay,
fucked
then
or
don't
bondo.
pray
It's
for
fine,
his
it's
car. Don't
fine.
pray for
Okay.
his car. Hey,
Don't pray
any
for my
chance there's going to be a collaboration? Listen, this just came in between my cousin King Salmon and his cornhole bags and Jon Chase. Any chance?
He's being completely serious, dog.
Any chance you're going to design a cornhole bag for King Salmon?
I mean, I've done lots of interesting products over the years. So anything's possible.
Never say never.
You know what? That's a diplomatic
Yeah,
no. That's
Yes.
a no. All right.
Hey,
All right.
listen, John, have a great day. Thank you
Thank
for
you
coming
so
on,
much,
brother. And
No, thank you guys for letting me be on. Good seeing, talking to you, Lucky. I know
Yes.
it's been a long time. I'm glad to see you're doing well, dude.
Yeah.
He
And,
is.
thanks, guys.
All right.
All right, guys.
Jon Chase.
Jon
the
Chase.
great Jon Chase.
Adios, amigos, from the Hard Luck Show.
Nice.